Hi, today we're going to be doing Chapter 5, Lessons 2 and 3. This should also be reviewed for you from elementary school. We will be adding and subtracting fractions and also mixed numbers with unlike denominators. So first of all, to subtract or add fractions with unlike denominators, we need to list those steps. How do we do that? First, we find the common denominator. Second, we make equivalent fractions with the common denominator. Third, we add the numerators. Fourth, keep the denominators the same, and then simplify your answer. For example, if we have 1/3 plus 1/5, we have a 3 and we have a 5. First, we need to have a common denominator, so we need to make equivalent fractions with a common denominator for 3 and 5. 15 would be a common denominator. So to make equivalent fractions with a denominator of 15, I know that 3 times 5 is 15, so 1 times 5 is 5 5/15. 5 times 3 gives me 15. So 1 times 3 gives me 3. So now I have my two new fractions that have the same denominator of 15. So now I can add my numerators. 5 plus 3 is 8. And we keep the denominator the same, which is 15. And then we simplify the fraction if we can simplify the fraction. So we have 8/15. Can I think of a number that I can divide evenly into 8 and 15? No, so 8/15 would be our simplest form of this. Okay, example number 2. We have 9/10 minus 7/8. So first I need to make a common denominator. I have 10 and I have 8. I can use 40, I can use 80, I can really use any denominator that I can find in common between 10 and 8. I'm going to use 40, so I need to make an equivalent fraction with 40 as the denominator. So I think 10 times what is 40? 10 times 4 is 40. So 9 times 4 is 36. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top to get your equivalent fraction. 8 times 5 is 40, so 7 times 5 is 35. So now I have my two fractions that I can subtract because I have a common denominator. So 36 minus 35 is 1/40. I cannot simplify that, so 1/40 is my simplest form. Next, we're going to look at adding and subtracting mixed numbers. The steps for that are pretty much the same as adding and subtracting with unlike denominators. First, you add or subtract the fraction. Just follow those same steps that we just did. Second, you add or subtract the whole number. So first you do the fraction, then you add or subtract the whole number. For example, if we have 2 and 3/4, we have the whole number 2 and the fraction 3/4 plus the whole number 1 and the fraction 1/6. So first I'm just going to look at these fractions, 3/4 plus 1/6. I need a common denominator. For 4 and 6, a common denominator would be 12. You could use other denominators that are common, but you may have to simplify later. So 4 times 3 is 12, so 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 2 is 12, so 1 times 2 is 2. Now I can add. I have my common denominator of 12. 9 plus 2 is 11/12. This cannot be simplified. Now I can add my whole numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. So my answer is 3 11/12. Example 4, 8 2/5 minus 6 3/10. I have a 5 and I have a 10 as my denominators, so I need a common denominator, which could be 10. 5 times 2 is 10, so 2 times 2 is 4. And then my 3/10, I don't need to change that. It already has a denominator of 10. So 4/10 minus 3/10 is 1/10. And 8 minus 6, the whole number, is 2. This is in simplest form, so 2 and 1/10 would be my final answer. We will work on more of these tomorrow in class. We will be doing some adding and subtracting of just the fractions with unlike denominators, and then also adding and subtracting mixed numbers with unlike denominators.